Welcome to the Road to the IPO podcast. This is a special episode because I'm at home. Usually we are with our friend of Caveat Network in the studios and with Nicolas Sotomayor, our technician. But today I'm at home because of the COVID-19 situation and no choice. I have to continue doing podcasting at home. And today's guest is very special. I have Martika Truchon, entrepreneur and financial educator. Hey, Martika, how's it going?
I'm good. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you so
Well,
much.
at home, but like with you doing this exchange.
Yeah, everyone is at home right now. No choice.
Yeah.
We need to stay in quarantine.
It is an interesting time, for sure.
It is. It is. For those who don't know you, can you introduce a little bit about yourself?
I'm a financial educator, and I've been in the financial space for about 10 years now.
Yes.
I know I look really 29. So I started my financial journey and education, if you will, when I was about 13 years old.
Okay.
When I started getting in the investment world, obviously I had an amazing mentor, which was my father at the time, who, as soon as I got my first job washing dishes at Pizza Hut at 13, they were paying me under the table. So I wasn't like supposed to be, but I started earning some money, and then he started straight away teaching me how to invest and all that. And I got really fascinated by this space really young. So I've also studied in finance. I did my degree in university here in Montreal and majored in finance. And then my first corporate jobs were I worked for a broker for some time, and then for the government in economic development, which we were basically reestablishing businesses to make them profitable, the ones who were governmentally owned.
Yes.
So I've had different experiences with the finance space, and I love this space much, and I'm a huge advocate for financial education for many, many reasons that I'm sure we'll get into in a little bit.
I think I was looking at your Instagram and everything. I think are you from Saskatchewan, or you were born in Quebec?
No, so I was actually born in Alberta and then moved here to Montreal when I was about 6, but my dad is from Manitoba.
Okay, Manitoba.
So maybe that's why you see pictures from out there, yeah.
From the west of Canada.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I saw that you were a fan of the Raiders from the CFL, Canadian Football League. Yeah.
Yes, the Rough Riders. So my dad was actually born and raised in Saskatchewan. So from farm, his parents had a farm. So I've only been to a couple Saskatchewan games, but yeah, he's a huge fan. So obviously I am too.
We're talking about your dad. Your dad has, since you were younger, give you good habits about financial. He gave you an advice that say you can make $1 and spend 2. Then that's one of the best advice somebody has given you, no?
Yes, I love that you brought that up, because I did that in a social media post. But yes, that was kind of, when I was starting out, he was really educating me in obviously terms that I could relate to and understand. And that's something that he always would say: you can make $1 and spend 2 and expect to get ahead. And I feel like it's so simple, and it's a truth that many overlook. But it really does boil down to exactly that. You can't live beyond your means and expect to build any sort of wealth long term.
So you start getting financial education at 13. So it was mostly because of your dad. He wanted to instill that younger. Is that right?
Yeah. So my dad's had an interesting journey throughout his careers, and he's obviously had, low points and high points like many of us. And I think that he was always really, because he had started so late. So my dad started really investing when he was in his 40s. Yeah. And so he had seen the value in it, and obviously wanted to pass that on to me. And especially when I was so young, he was like, this is the best time to learn. And and it really is. And he still continues to teach me even today. And I've been introduced to the right people quite young as well. Like my broker that I've also worked for, that whole team at that office have been amazing mentors for me. when I was in my early 20s, I was working with them. So, well, I started at 13, like more of a client, small client. But then after my early 20s, I was working for the office. So that whole team has taught me so much in regards to wealth creation. And it's such a small community where my dad lives. So there's a lot of people, and it was just interesting to see some of the people locally, the wealth that they had built, and then also being able to go to the pub and sit down and kind of ask questions about business, right? And then seeing, I guess there's many things that I've learned, but also mostly comes down to habits. And I feel like the people that I've noticed that had cultivated the most amount of wealth really had interesting habits in terms of their finances.
Yes. Well, your story reminds me of I don't know if you read, for sure you read the Rich Dad Poor Dad. So,
Yes.
Yeah. So it's always similar that the fact that Robert Kiyosaki, he went to meetings with his rich dad. He was surrounded by bankers at a young age with entrepreneurs. So I think it's the similar story with you.
Yes, exactly. Like when he says that he had his dad and then his rich dad, that was the entrepreneur and the wealth creator, and then kind of going back and forth between those two. Yeah, it feels very similar. It's interesting that you mentioned that because I'm actually reading right now. I don't know if you've read this one from Robert Kiyosaki. Fake. It's really, really good. And it's fake money, fake teachers, and fake assets. Yes. Yeah, that's the name of the book. It's really good.
It's really good. When you say that 13, did you invest in stocks? Were you allowed to invest in stock at such a young age, like at 15?
Yeah, so I think that the way that they set it up, I had did they start the tax-free savings account at that time? I can't remember now. I think they might have piggybacked me off of my dad's account, to be fair, just because I was so young. And then after, as I got to, being able to make my own decisions, they parted me away.
Yeah.
So we did have something set up that was just in my name, and I was starting to save my own paychecks. And then I had my own little login on the computer that I could see. And so this is what really, so I was quite fortunate, like I mentioned, that I had a dad that has shown me the way. Yeah. And one of the biggest things that he done for me that really, really helped me shape it's in my understanding really young was when I started off. So my first paycheck, actually, I spent it all on clothes or dumb stuff, like a 13-year-old.
Like any
and so that's when, yeah, just random things. And he sat down with me, and that's when he decided it was about time I got taught, the value of money.
Yeah.
So that was that summer of 13, I was in school. Then I came back to Montreal to go through my year of school. And then I would go back every summer to work and see my dad, spend time with him in Manitoba. And that summer he said, well, for every $1 that you save, I'll match it dollar for dollar. So I was like, oh, this is great. So, I think I was working as doing dishes the second summer as well. So I started, instead of taking, let's say, all of my money back home like I had the prior year, I'd saved, 80% because I was like, well, he'll match it dollar for dollar, so then I'll have more money. Yeah. So then we did that. And then the third summer I was 15. So I decided, well, Dad, this summer I'm going to get 2 jobs. Okay. I'm still thinking that this dollar for dollar deal is still on. So I'm getting more work. And then, so we kind of did that for that summer as well. So I saved all my money, and then I could start seeing how it was growing, even though it was small amounts, obviously. Yes. It was entry level jobs at that point, but I could start seeing, and I started getting really motivated. So I was saving more and leaving with less and less every year to go back home to school with just bare minimum. And I wasn't getting new clothes that much for school. I was already in the mindset of like, well, what do I actually need? Yes. And then just getting the things that I actually needed and reusing the same school supplies from the year before. So it started already cultivating habits and becoming aware of the value of money and how that could benefit me if it was invested rather than spent on things that I didn't really need.
Do you think with kids, especially because what your dad did was having like a kind of game to like give you, take $1, I give you one. And it's also the same with when you told your kids to make their bed and you say, I'm going to give you $1 if you make your bed every day. So you think with kids, it's better to have them play with that, having like a sort of game so they can build financial habits?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that's key no matter how you do it, that it's about, I think, getting your kids involved in the process of what it takes to build wealth, even if they're so young.
Yeah,
And no matter what that looks like, if it's in exchange for chores, or if it's dollar and let's put it in a bank so that I can actually see what that does over, a certain period of time.
yeah.
And yeah, so I absolutely think if you have a board game or whatever it is, I think that that's super important because it makes it really fun, and it gave us something to really bond over as well, right?
Yeah. Well, like Monopoly is they say is one of the best financial education games, like for real estate also. And then
Yes,
it's just a game. You can learn some stuff from it.
yes. I've never really played Monopoly, but I enriched that poor dad. He
Yeah.
mentions that a couple of times, but yeah.
Robert Kiyosaki has his own game, I think. I don't know.
Yes, cash flow.
Yeah, yeah. Did you buy it? Did you try it or like?
I haven't. I probably should though, just to see what it looks like, and maybe that's something I could keep for my kids at some point
Yeah.
as an extra tool.
Good. I want to go more into your business world, into your business time. You left the corporate world to start your own business.
Yeah.
Before financial, you went to start. I think you started to do social media. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, kind of in transition. There's been a lot of transitional times, and this is another one right now. But yeah, so I left the corporate world and started my own social media thing.
Hmm.
And I was really grateful that I've had, this was like now 4 years ago. And I was just really thankful that I've had the financial nest to support
Yes.
that transition
Yes.
without any pressure, and it gave me a lot of space to be able to create and really lean into growing that at that time. So yeah, I did do that for some time. I don't do it anymore, and so
Yep.
now I'm kind of transitioning into the financial education.
So one of the great things you did, and there's not a lot of people that do that. They jump into an entrepreneurship without having any really money, any savings, because you had good financial habits. So when
Yeah,
you decide to leave, you already have like I don't understand, an emergency fund and everything. So you have money to to do the
exactly.
3 4 months that you need to get business going on. So
It,
what can you recommend to people that are listening and watching to the podcast and say, I want to jump on entrepreneurship, but do I need like 3 months of money saving, or should I just jump because there's an opportunity?
that's an interesting question. I think that, everyone's a little bit different. If you do have the emergency fund, gosh, that one's an interesting one, because for me it worked because I had such a big, investment. I had started, like I mentioned, when I was 13. So I think that my situation might have been a little bit different than most. But if you don't have that financial fund, I think that it would be best if you stayed in the corporate world and then you just really, really hustled and got income coming in from some other place to really support that transition, instead of just jumping in and hoping that it takes off. That's what I would do.
So waiting a little bit, getting money, and then maybe after. But they can still
Yeah,
work
to
on the
soften off yeah,
yeah, they can still work on the stuff at night. So just to
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, and still have some sort of stable source of income, because financial stress, in my opinion, is the worst kind of stress
Yeah. Yeah.
that there is. It's just not a fun place to be in. So if, depending on where you are, like I said, I think that maybe my situation was a little bit different than most that are going to be listening to this at that time. But that's something that I would do, kind of get something stable before you transition.
So why did you decide to become an entrepreneur? Because as we know, entrepreneurship, there's a lot of financial risk, and then you for someone that has good financial habits, it's better to stay in in somewhere that is give you money like in a secure way. So why did you decide to start entrepreneurship?
So why? Oh, that's such a good question. I think that for I've always wanted location independence.
Okay.
That was something that was really big for me, and I was clear on that, right, like from high school. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life yet, but I really am looking for location independence.
Okay.
Just because mainly my dad lived out in Manitoba. All my mom's side of the family's here in Montreal, and
Yeah.
I didn't want the 2 weeks holiday year and then not have any time to spend with him.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then also wanted
Yeah.
to travel. So I was always very clear on that. So when I was working at the government at the time, I was taking this online marketing class,
Yes.
which was on social media.
Yeah.
And then I was testing things out, and the more that I was present online, more people like that had businesses, because I knew a lot of businesses,
Yeah.
asked me, hey, can you give us a hand with this part? And so I eventually started charging them for my time and the work that I was doing. And so I thought that would be good. At that time, I thought maybe this is my ticket to,
Yeah.
entrepreneurship and really getting that location independence that I'm looking for.
So you wanted to be more free, more flexible in your schedule.
Very mobile. Yeah, that was always the plan.
So are your parents entrepreneurs? Is your dad entrepreneur?
So my dad's in sales. So he's self-employed, but he works in the automotive industry.
Yes. Yes.
He's had businesses before, so he was always very encouraging. Actually, this may have influenced where I am now, but he always said, if you want to, to be financially well, either go in sales or in entrepreneurship. From his perspective, those were the two avenues that would generate income that could give me all the flexibility that I was looking for. So I think, probably he planted a subconscious seed to either go in both. And it's funny because I'm in sales right now and I'm transitioning into financial education. So I'm kind of like right in the middle of those two options. He was suggesting.
There was no conflict when you say to your dad, I'm going to entrepreneurship. He really say go, and there was not any conflict, because most people have always a conflict either with the parents, the spouse, the family around them, when they jump into such a risky journey. And
I was really fortunate, and both my parents have been supportive and understanding of my choices, even though they don't understand it. Like social media is not something that my dad really even understands now, even though I've explained it to him so many different times.
Yes.
But he's always been really like, he's always been a big advocate. Like, look, you only have one life. If this feels like the right move for you, then go ahead.
Yes. And we're talking about that. Mostly when people have any rejection about entrepreneurship or the people around them, I think the number one reason is the financial risk. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. I think that the financial risk associated, because it's the first 3-4 years in pretty much every business is really, really hard.
Yeah.
Right. I'm sure entrepreneurs and I know some, and the first few years is really difficult to get that momentum and get it to a profitable place. So I think that's a lot of people's worry is that financial aspect, which is why, going back to financial education, if someone understands and has the right habits around money, then they're already increasing their chances of at least not going bankrupt, or at least having more leverage to be able to pour more into marketing to get the sales that they need to be able to be profitable. And I think that this ties in beautifully into entrepreneurship, because a lot of entrepreneurs, even though they're in a state of knowledge, right? Usually entrepreneurs are big on education.
Okay.
A lot of them don't have proper financial education. And now all of a sudden you're in a financial risk, but also you don't have the financial education to maybe, alleviate some of the risk anyways associated to that aspect.
So if they have like good financial habits before, and then they talk with the family around them, the spouse, the husband, the wife, so they can tell, look, we still have money, so I can still jump on entrepreneurship and not risk anything. So that's one of the things people should do before jumping in entrepreneurship, having this financial money there, so that even the people around them can feel safe and relaxed.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you're single and you're in your your early 20s,
Yeah.
putting yourself, all of your eggs in one basket, it's not the same thing. But if you have a family that, rely on you and everything, I think to be respectful of everyone that's involved in the decisions that you're making one way or another,
Yes.
I think that would be a wise thing to do, is making sure, well, if I do this, is my family taken care of, or am I completely stripping them off of all financial things that they need?
True. They have to really, because most entrepreneurs, they tend to just jump in and they want to go for the opportunity, so they forget the people around them. But
Yeah.
if at least you have the money so that they can feel safe if something happens, that's one of the worries they won't tell you after. They won't ask you, oh, there's no money, there's, because that's the number one big, I think that's the number one biggest reason that people don't go into an entrepreneurship, or the family don't want them to go.
Because of the financial risk that's
Yes.
associated with it.
Yes.
Yeah. So again, I think money is not necessarily the money that people need to focus on, but it's also the opportunity that it creates. And when you have, again, the financial education that's required, you understand that being disciplined about your finances, continuously learning about it, and be really clear about where you are and where you want to be,
Yes.
obviously opens up so many opportunities, right?
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. Like some entrepreneurs are remortgaging their houses to have enough cash flow to be able to sustain the business, and I'm sure some of them get successful by doing that, but it must add a tremendous amount of
Yes.
pressure on everyone.
And especially in right now during these times, well, we talk about that later, but this is something that maybe a lot of entrepreneurs are thinking about, to really sell the houses, or to do the remortgage. How do you say it? Sorry.
Remortgage.
Remortgaging the house. Sorry about that. But
No.
well, before we talk about that, I just want to ask you, what separates the middle class and the wealthy? Because we have the poor, the middle class, and then the wealthy. What separates the middle and the wealthy? Because the poor and the wealthy, they have such a large separation, but the middle class and the wealthy, that's not much. Well, right now there's not much separation. But what is the difference between those two?
Well, I can give a short answer and then I can give a long answer, but I believe that the short answer
Mm-hmm.
is financial education.
Okay.
It makes a huge difference between the super wealthy and everybody else.
Okay.
And I feel like if we dive deeper into wealth, there's two aspects to it, right? We have the ones who know how to create huge amounts of wealth,
Yeah.
but don't have the necessarily good financial management skills, right?
Yeah.
And we see these with athletes that make
Yes.
a ton of money.
Yes.
Their career's over and they go bankrupt, right? Broke.
Okay.
So I think that in wealthy, you need both. You need to have the right management skills, which I call a good defense game around your money.
Okay.
And then you also need to develop a good offense game, which is how to generate more wealth and seize the opportunities to keep building your assets and your net worth.
Okay. Okay. That's
So,
yeah. Like you say, most athletes go bankrupt after they finish the career.
yeah, and actors too, even dentists and our high educated, people in our society struggle financially. Like it's so even though they're making the income and they have wealth in terms of what they're bringing in, they have no concept of really the value of it and how to manage it properly so that they can keep it and keep growing it ultimately, so that they can keep generating more of it, right?
Yeah. So, can we learn that? Can we really learn that? Because I don't think that maybe there's some people that really get it right away, but can we learn that type of financial education?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I find there's so many good books out there. There are mentors, and getting the right mentors, right?
Yeah.
There's we the financial advisors, for example, right? That's a whole, I could talk long.
Yeah.
Financial advisors, and there are great financial advisors out there, but it's also being really careful in who you're choosing to guide you and mentor you, because there's a lot of fake teachers.
Yes.
and you want to make sure that you're asking the advice from people that have created wealth, that
Yeah,
have results, not someone that's just saying, hey, I'm struggling to pay my own bills here, but let me give you some advice on how you should be diversifying your portfolio and growing your assets.
true. And talking about that, because I believe most athletes, they don't want to focus on that kind of stuff, so they hire people for that. So do you think that it's good just to hire people to let them manage your money, or you should understand it, you understand how to manage your money before hire someone else?
Yeah, I love that question. I think that we all have to take responsibility for our
Okay.
finances. And I know that the biggest argument for people, they'll say it's overwhelming. Finances is overwhelming. It's
Yes.
complicated. I don't understand it. I don't have time to learn it. I'm already busy with my career. I'm just going to pay someone and delegate it
Yeah.
somewhere else. And I think that um, that puts a lot of people in a vulnerable place because number one, I would never delegate something that I don't understand.
Okay. Okay.
And so I think that it's making sure that your advisor educates you, right? Not tells you what to do, but that's actually educating you so that you and me, we can make a choices for ourselves.
Okay.
I think that's a big difference and something to be careful of. And I hear this one all the time, like,
Yeah.
oh, I have a financial advisor. Oh, I got a financial advisor. I don't need to learn this stuff. I'm like, you do. How do you even know that your financial advisor is making the best choices for you?
Yeah.
Has results for themselves and can really guide you in a way that can, you know, I just feel like that's, um, something to be very careful of.
So you at least need to understand the basics of your finance.
Yes, understand the basics. I think that, you know, it's just like health, right? Like there's like pillars in our lives that are really important. Finances is one of them. We live in an economical world. Money is the vehicle that enables us to experience things, to do things, to seize opportunities and everything, right?
Yes.
And it's a worthwhile place to invest your time in, to learn some of the basics so
Okay.
that you can really be in a place, an empowered place to make the best choices for you and your financial future.
Yes.
Just being financially educated can make just such a big difference on where you'll be, down the line in the long-term future, financially speaking. And I think everyone wants to be bathing in prosperity and abundance
Yes.
and soundness, financial soundness, knowing that they're taken care of, that their kids are taken care of, and whoever else is involved, right?
Because it's so important, because you were talking about the pillars of life, and finance, money is one of the, even if people don't want to talk about it, it's so essential, because like you said, retirement, health, or just having a good life, no stress, because not only for you but the people around you, it affects everyone. If you're broke and you don't have money, it's going to affect your health, and you can even pay stuff like good food, good stuff to
Yeah.
eat. So really having the time to and I believe the younger you do it, the better it is.
Yeah, exactly. Like the earlier you start. And yeah, it really does impact all the other spheres as well. Like you mentioned, like health, like the quality of the food
Yeah.
that you may be getting, or even if you need help in emergency or whatnot and you need to go privately, to have more options to be
Yeah.
taken care of, and having your family be taken care of is really what it comes down to.
Yes, options. Money gives you options, and it
Yeah,
will allow you to really to be have a good peace of mind. You don't have to worry
exactly.
a lot of things. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and being more in control as well to your options. And yeah, it's just, like money doesn't buy happiness, and that's not what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It just really gives you more opportunities and freedom, and I think that that's what we're all looking for at the end of the day, in my opinion.
Okay. And also, well, you have to understand where your money goes. You were talking about, we're talking about understanding the basic of money, but also understanding where your money goes, and maybe you have like payment that goes like recurrent payments, money that you don't even see, and then just takes out your money, like a monthly gym membership that you don't go, or Netflix membership that don't even watch. So understanding,
Yes.
knowing where your money goes is important, right?
Oh, absolutely. So this is what I'm this is what I do. And I've been doing this religiously for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And maybe a lot of people wouldn't adopt this strategy, but I think that this has worked really well for me, and I continue to do it.
Okay.
And every month so I pay everything with my credit card just because I like to get the points. And then I find it really easy to track every transaction that I've made in one statement.
Okay.
So every end of the month, I go through that statement and I write in an Excel sheet. I put them in in certain baskets, categories, if you will, like groceries, eating out, whatever, marketing, all of that. And I still find like things that exactly like I punched in my credit card to get that free month, and then I forgot to unsubscribe, and now I'm being charged for it, and I don't really use it, or I don't want it anymore. Or things like Photoshop, when I could be batch creating content for a year and then opting out and not having to pay a recurring fee for using Photoshop. Just things like that. It doesn't seem like much, but the devil is in the details. And that's the biggest thing that I think that many miss, is that, the coming back to small fees, like the $10, the $20 here, the $5 latte, all the things, like the small little things that really, those many things add up big time. And especially when you start investing it and you see how the compound effect of those small things really add up to, it's pretty like eye-opening, really.
And also because especially right now, now that you stay at home, maybe you don't use those kind of stuff. Like maybe you realize that you don't watch Netflix that much, or maybe you don't need that monthly, for another company that because we have to stay at home. So maybe you don't need to still pay that thing that you need to go out, something like that. So right now, to see where you can cut and see, maybe I don't need to watch Netflix that much, and maybe I can start watching YouTube and something like that,
Yeah, exactly. Making small adjustments, and then it makes you think too, like, do I really need this service? Am I really using it? Or exactly. And just really being able to see like, oh wow, I've actually spent quite a bit of money last month on eating out. Maybe my objective this month is to bring that down by half or 20% at least, and make more meals at home. So just things like that can really help. I just find putting everything on paper really gives you an eye-opening, like, wow, I've spent this much in a month. Like, what do I have to show for it? Did I get anything out of it? Were they necessary expenses? And how can I better optimize so that I can save more, invest more, and be better off in the future?
And now, talking just now, because right now everyone is at home, so they want to subscribe to, and companies are smart, so they give you free trials right now because they know they're at home. So right now, a lot of people trying to look for those entertainments, buying like Netflix, Amazon TV membership, Apple TV. So right now, even if we stay at home, with the internet, we have a lot of expenses. Before, you used to just go out and spend there. Now you're at home and just spend. That's the problem right now.
Right. So people are kind of finding other ways to spend the same.
I mean, stay at home. Usually you stay at home. They say you stay at home, you don't spend anything. But now you stay at home, then you go on the internet and you have all this membership, all these online deliveries, Uber Eats. That's the kind. The restaurant is coming to the house. So you think people will struggle more and more with the internet to really have to save money?
I don't know really, because I'm thinking, there's still going to be the spenders for sure. But, if we're like, we've seen, I think, I don't even know what the number is anymore, but we're over 1 million people that have applied for unemployment, right? So I think that a lot of people are going to be actually pulling back in terms of the spending. And I think it's a good time to really give yourself that exercise of seeing, well, how can I live on as little as possible? That gives you a really good indicator of how much things are unnecessary that you're probably spending on, right? So I think this is kind of forcing many people to really, hopefully, peel back some of the areas of their life, especially financially speaking, because of all the uncertainty that's going on right now,
Yeah.
to be able to see like, okay, well, I have to re-establish a budget right now, and I have to pay for rent. And now maybe I'm only at 50% of my salary if I'm lucky enough to still have my job, or some people have had their hours cut.
Yeah.
So kind of reestablishing a budget of their current reality right now. And I think that by being so minimalist is going to be a really good probably perception of how much maybe they were overspending or
Yeah.
overstretching themselves and with things that weren't really necessary.
Yes, for sure. There's some people like that. They're gonna reflect into that and maybe going to minimalist. But I'm pretty sure there's other people like, right now a lot of people say the time to learn is the time to do this. There's people that are gonna buy membership to escape and watch Netflix and to have monthly payments. And
Yeah.
there's people that we say this is an opportunity to learn, but what happens with that is they're gonna start buying online courses. They're gonna buy stuff that, do they really need it? So there's a lot of kind of people with a lot of different mindsets. But
Yes.
I believe that a lot of people in the future, because like I said, before you used to go outside and spend. Now you go inside your home with the computer and it's so easy. It's just 2 clicks. That's it. The credit card is saved in your computer. So you don't
Yeah.
really see. So everything is online. The restaurant comes in your house. So I think it's so important to build financial habits, even in the online world.
Yes. Yeah. You're absolutely right. I'm sure there's going to be different people that take this
Yeah.
time at home differently. Some are going to Netflix and chill all day and maybe do some online shopping, and other people are going to be more productive with that time and kind of, do a little spring cleaning and in their, so to speak, in their virtual life, not
Yeah.
virtual life, but personally, whether it's finances or whatever else it is.
Mm.
Yeah, I think the if anyone is looking to get financially educated, if they want to grow their wallet, their money tree,
Yeah.
and get ahead, I think that if they want to start, it's really important to assess, even if right now they're not spending outside, but even going back some other months prior to this, and kind of taking a look, like, where was I spending my money? Just assessing how much money was going out every month, how much money was coming in, how much am I investing of that money, how much are you saving, and just really taking a look at what that, and how does that feel like,
Yeah.
how does it feel to be in that space where you might be overspending or underspending, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And kind of ask yourself, where do I want to be a year from now? Do I still want to be in the same place with a net worth that's at zero, or that's hardly grown at all? Or
Yeah.
do I want to see myself get ahead? So I think those are all like good questions to start if you are looking to better yourself.
Yeah. So you look back and the past one, like the past 3 4 months, to see what's going on with your finance, and you can do that with a budget. A budget, I think, is a good tool to really to see monthly expenses and to see what you spend. And
Exactly.
yeah. But here's the problem with me, and because I'm an entrepreneurship, and my mindset is to make more money than to just cut it and try to limit myself. And I believe, in my mind, maybe I have a limited belief that a budget is only meant to limit your expenses. For me, it's like, make a way to have more money, not limit yourself. When I do a budget, I feel like I have to limit myself to not spend here, spend there. So
It feels
my point is, do wealthy people have budgets? Do they sit down and have an Excel and say, okay, $2 million I spend here, and $5 million I get here? Do you think the wealthy people have budgets?
Do wealthy people have budget? I think that wealthy people have a team, and they definitely have a
Yeah,
good money manager in there.
yeah,
I think that I understand what you're saying. And I go back to, I think it's your perspective of what a budget is.
yeah,
I always think that structure is actually freedom. Some people think it puts them in a box.
yeah,
But when you're really like, even if it wasn't a budget, but just structure, even in your day, to really be able to carve out time for play and for other things, having a structure gives you more freedom, in
yeah.
my opinion. So
Okay.
knowing that budget is really just a tool to make sure that you're on track towards your financial goals, whatever that is. And that's just a supportive system for you to be able to make better investments within your own business, right? To maybe hire someone. So just kind of changing basically the perspective of what budgeting actually is. And I'm not for going into a lack mindset with like being, I guess, really frugal. That's not where I'm going, but it's just being really clear. Like every purchase that I make sure that it is within my values and that is fully aligned. So if I'm not a hell yes to a purchase, then it's a no. And that's for everything. So if I'm going shopping for clothes, if I don't love the item that I'm trying on, then it's a no. It goes back on the rack. And I promise you, if everyone really does this, if it's a hell yes, and if it's not that, then it's a no, you'll start consuming so much less because most of the time you just realize that, well, I don't really need this, or I don't love it enough to make that 100% commitment to it. I find that to be the best strategy for myself.
Because people don't ask questions when they buy something. They just go with the feelings, so they just buy it. And they don't ask, do I really need this coffee right now? Do I really that angry? Do I really need that clothes? Do I really need to subscribe to that membership? So they don't ask any questions. They just go on with their feelings.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, yeah. So they say I should do some research on this, but we all know that most purchasing and consuming is emotionally based. Period. Emotionally based. So bringing more rationality to how you work with money.
And how do you spend your money and everything. Like you say, maybe I do have a limited belief with budgets. Maybe it's a better way to organize my financial structure, and also maybe find ways to save more money so I can invest in my company, and at the same time, like with my making more ways to have more money. So it can be used as a tool, So I have to really work into that.
Yeah, like welcome it in and find a way that that works. It's a tool that works really well for me, and I'm sure if you see it and you do it, you'll also see, well, it's really refreshing to see, okay, I know I'm in control of my money. I know it's that I've seen these weird purchases. Let me call and double check that. Out of my credit card. Like I have a couple that I need to follow up on. I'm like, I don't remember. Just doing a follow-up so you don't have any leaks in your system.
Good. Well, before we go to the last part of the podcast, I just want to ask you where people can reach out to you. What platforms are you on?
Instagram, it's just Martika Truchon, my name and last name. And yes, I'm pretty much mostly on Instagram for all content sharing and presence.
Perfect. I'm going to put all the links in the description so people can reach out to you. So I guess we don't have a choice to talk about the situation right now, the COVID-19 situation, and everything that's going on that's going to affect us, not only in health, but also finance. Martika, are we entering a recession right now? First of all, I want you to define what a recession is, and then you can answer that question. What is a recession?
So there's many indicators that points in the direction of a recession. I think that we are in a recession right now.
Yeah.
But some of those indicators are things like increase of unemployment. Okay. It will be things like banks that are reporting people being late on paying their credit cards or their loans.
Yeah.
We'll see the automotive market be more at a standstill, so people are purchasing less vehicles, which is open. I'm pretty sure all vehicle dealerships are considered an essential service.
Well, only the mechanic stuff, not the sales.
Not the sales team.
Mechanics, people have to go and take care of the car if something happens, so it's essential.
Essential for that. Okay. Same thing for the housing market. When we start seeing it become at a standstill, those are all indicators of that we're entering a recession, and just weird consumer behaviors, like people are a little bit more uncertain, so they are spending less. So that's kind of an indicator of that we're entering that phase economically.
So a recession will mean like the economy is slowing down. Is that right?
Yes, exactly.
But
That the
there,
economy, exactly, it's slowing down, and that there's like a plateau that's happening.
but there's not really crash. We will see a crash, like really a crash, like the 2008 stock crash.
So we did start seeing a crash.
Okay.
The market has been up the last 3 days. Yeah, it was down yesterday. But before that, it went down by almost 30%. So
Okay.
if anyone is an investor in the stock market, um, like I am, it was the first quarter has been rough. That was a significant amount. Like that's a huge drop, and it is really my first recession, as I'm sure it is yours too. The
Yes.
last one was in 2008, and what, I don't know how old you are. I was like 13 at the time, so I don't feel like
Yeah. 12, I think.
yeah. So I was pretty young to really understand, financially what that means, and will it dip down? I mean, nobody knows really what's going to happen tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah.
They were already saying that we would be close to a recession, but they didn't know that the pandemic would be the thing that started it off.
Yes.
And so will it dip down quite a bit in the next few days and the next week? Nobody really knows. So there's a lot of uncertainty financially speaking. And Justin, to help out the economy, said that he would put in $82 billion to support families and businesses that are closed and
Yes.
people are losing their jobs, that type of thing. And then the other thing too that I'm looking at is, well, where's this money coming from,
Yeah,
right?
that's it. That's what I want to talk because um, for sure they have to give money because there's people that need it. So 82 billions of dollars, the Canada, and 2 trillions of dollars in the United States, which is so much money. So what do you think about that? The government need to give that kind of money? Well, in this situation, but is it good for the economy after?
So yeah, so people need the money, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Is it good for the economy? That's where I'm feeling a little bit maybe anxious about is what is the repercussion of printing so much money? What does that actually do for us? So yes, short term, it's maybe fixing people being able to continue to live and provide for themselves.
Yeah.
But what is the long-term repercussion? Because back in 2008, they had injected a bunch of money, right?
Okay.
And then the economy, they just pumped it in to get the economy going again,
Yeah.
which worked. But now it's like they just kicked the can down the line. And now here we are in 2020 with a debt increase that is huge, right?
Yeah.
So now they're repeating the injection of money. So listen, I don't know what's going to come out of this. I'm hoping for the best, that everything picks back up soon.
Yeah.
But there's just so many uncertain factors. I don't think anybody can really predict what's going to happen, how long we're going to be closed.
Yes.
Because I think that the cases in these states have increased quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, the last news I hear is that Donald Trump wants to reopen certain states that are not really affected to boost the economy, and they're trying to figure out a way to social distance in that way. But New York, California, they're really closed down, and we see if they find a way to really open certain states to bring the economy back, is good. But there's always a risk that the virus can come back, and so we will
Yeah.
see what's going on. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, like some say that they can have us shut down for more than an extra week
Yeah.
just because of what it would do for the economy. So will they just kind of give up and then, yeah, I don't know. Like there's just so many factors in play. We don't know, but that's a big question that I'm kind of sitting in, is like, what are the long-term repercussions of injecting so much money in the economy? And yeah, so obviously I think there's 1 in 3 businesses that can survive past the 30-day mark. I'm not sure. I think I saw that in the Globe and Mail that they were saying that. So I'm definitely doing my part to help.
Yes, especially small and medium businesses that not adapting well and they're closing down. You already see even in the first 2-3 days, restaurants were closing down, say we have to fire every employee. And some of them are doing good with delivery, but how long will this last? So
Yeah, exactly. But then with all this chaos and everything that's going on, there's going to be so many good opportunities as well that are going to come come about. Like there's going to be stocks that are going to be really, really cheap that, you can get. And yeah, I think even in the housing market as well, maybe not straight away, but I think that within 8-12 months down the line, there's going to be some good opportunities. So it's kind of back to the financial education part, is when you have familiarity in asset building and stuff like that, it's better. You are in a better position to at least seize the opportunity and understand it when it shows up.
If you have like something in a emergency fund that you already built in this time of crisis, then you have money to like for the next 2-3 months without worry, Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And just to finish in the topic of businesses, I don't know if you hear the Cirque du Soleil, which is a company here in Canada, in Quebec.
Yeah.
They go bankrupt. Do you think that we need to save those kind of big companies because they bring a lot of, well, it's not even, it's Chinese owned, but it's still in Quebec. And I hear it won't be the only one, but it's a big company. Like they did it with Bombardier just recently. Do you think government should go and save those big companies that are affected by this? Because there's also all the small and medium businesses. Which one is better for the economy? The big one or all these small and medium businesses?
That's a good question, and it's a tough one. Like I think that when the government says that they're going to support businesses, obviously they're not going to be able to save all of them. So what is the indicator between choosing between, maybe a bigger one that employs so many more people and then a small coffee shop that maybe only have like 10 employees? Like how are they going to choose which one gets to live and which one will have to die off?
Because
that's going to be a tough decision, and I'm not sure. Obviously, the logical reason would be like if we save Bombardier, well, we're saving all these jobs, which is more than the coffee shop at the corner of the street. But
and also the Cirque du Soleil has a name and it's well known, so it's something that a lot of people are proud. So you have to take into consideration it's a brand and it has like 4,700 employees, and headquarters are in Quebec. So because I go on social media, I was hearing a lot of comments about that. We should save the small and medium businesses. We shouldn't save the coffee shop here and there. But the kind of big company like the Cirque du Soleil, they took a long time to build, and only that, they're giving a lot to the community around them, because not just like giving like good stuff to the community, not only jobs, but also like bringing people around them, like volunteering, everything like that. So let's see.
It does have a ripple effect. And then also it's I understand that point, but then, in a big company like Bombardier, there's many, many shareholders that are involved. So if they go bankrupt, the financial weight on Bombardier than the man that has a coffee shop and might have, the weight of the financial impact, it will probably financially, hopefully not, maybe ruin them. Whereas someone like, if the business is shared between so many people, then the financial weight might not be as
true.
difficult to hold. Either way, it's not a good place to be in, and I hope everyone's gonna make it out okay.
So to make it out okay, you need to build an emergency fund, and for any crisis. But right now, with all this scarcity and money, how do you build an emergency fund? Should you still continue to put money aside in the emergency fund? Because we know that this situation will be done at one point, and maybe later on there's going to be another thing. So right now, how can we build an emergency fund with this time of crisis?
So, I mean, that will be different, obviously, for everyone, how to build an emergency fund. So if we so now the government's going to give, like, I think $2,000 to everyone. I don't know what the criteria are. Maybe if you have a family, it's a bit more than 2,000.
Yeah.
But just know that the consumer is in power. So for people that are struggling to pay their rent, I think that there's a way to call your landlord and say, hey, I need to renegotiate this. I don't think I can make a month's payment right now. I just lost my job, or my hours are cut in half. Like, they can't throw you out on the street.
No,
I'm pretty sure in Quebec that there is a law to protect the tenants. So work with the people that you maybe owe money. This is a really good opportunity to maybe renegotiate your credit card, your loans, everything like that, because the banks are going to be willing to work with you.
Okay.
Trust me, they're going to be hurting. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to be missing payments. So if you call them and renegotiate rates and stuff like that, this would be a good time.
Yeah.
And same thing for mortgages, right? The banks are not in the business to own your home. So if you give them a call and say, hey, they obviously know what's happening.
Yeah.
We need to renegotiate the terms of the mortgage here. So I think that if there's a way for you to, if you're in a bit of a bind, financially speaking, and you're figuring out how you can make it work, then just try working with everyone around you to be able to make a budget and sustain yourself throughout this period. And then for saving, if you're in a position that you can save, then I think that just by being home and not being able to necessarily shop, maybe you're doing online shopping, but maybe try to reduce all expenses and just get really lean. Just make your meals, well, obviously make the meals at home and kind of start building that emergency fund, because in times of crisis, this can happen anytime. There can be
another one.
There can be another one. Like these are obviously big circumstances, but even in our personal lives, you never know when there's going to be an emergency or so to speak, a crisis. And I think that it's good to always have that emergency fund set there. You never know.
So it's important to save even in bad times and good times. Well, if you're in bad times, you have not that much money, but at least you can put it on the side. Because most people think they're in a bad situation. They say, I can't save. You get a lot of that. So I'm really right now, I can't save. I have to pay my stuff. So most people don't really save.
Right. So because they're more in panic mode than anything. And that's understandable. Like, listen, I'm in that boat too. Like I don't have work right now. And the first quarter in the stock market really was bad. And so I understand and I relate to where everyone is, and to have that a little bit more of a financial, setback in some way. But exactly, maybe now if you are someone that's never saved and now you're just figuring out how to pay your next bill or how you're going to, maybe get food on the table, maybe now's the time to just sit back and kind of say, well, who can I call and renegotiate things with, whether it's my rent, my mortgage, credit card, all of those expenses. Take action on those things, and then get creative on how maybe you can ask for help. I think that's the biggest thing. Don't stay in a hole. If you're in a hole right now, reach your hand out and someone will grab you. So if you need support, ask yourself how you can add value somewhere. Get creative with maybe the way you can do things to be able to get yourself out of the hole and keep moving forward.
Good. So before we finish the podcast, I just want to ask you your best financial book recommendation. You show me like fake money, fake by Kiyosaki. But do you have any other books right now that you can recommend? Because right now we have a lot of time to just read and
to self-educate. Yes. I do. I think that this book, I didn't purposely intend to have it right here. It's just I look like I was right. It's a stand up to the financial service industry.
Yes.
And it's a Canadian that wrote this book, so it applies to our economy, right? The states will have their different rules and regulations. We have our different rules and regulations. So this one's really good because if you're looking for someone to be your financial advisor and to guide you in this space, I think that you need to do your homework, know how to ask the right questions to make sure that you're finding the best person to support you. And I think that this book covers a lot of the loopholes in the industry that you should be watching out for. So that one's really important. And then, I love everything Robert Kiyosaki. I think his perspective is really good.
Yes.
Warren Buffett would be like the other spectrum of investing than Robert would be. But I think that reading both and just getting a wide variety of different opinions and views on wealth creation is really good. It stretches your mind, and then you're kind of in a better place to seek out the best route of wealth creation for you.
Yes.
So those ones I would start there.
Yeah. There was also a book about bankers, how to understand your banker, something like that. I don't remember the name, but like you say, like the stand up, understanding what your financial advisor does.
Yes.
And there's also books about understanding how the banking and bankers system works also. Yeah.
Yes, all of that. That's really important to just even having an idea economically speaking, like the government, the
Yeah.
banks, how that interrelates. I think just having, the education of how it all ties in together is really important to just build a financial foundation of knowledge for anybody.
Good. Thank you so much, Martika. I really appreciate. I hope the people that listening and watching to the podcast learn a lot, and it's a good time, like to take the time to learn and really educate yourself about finance, because most people right now maybe they're struggling, but there's always light and there's always good times that will come forward. So yeah.
Exactly. There's beautiful opportunities, and it's really exciting to see what the future is going to look like from this point on. And
Yeah.
if anybody ever needs support, know they can reach out to me if they have any questions. And yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I really loved this. It was fun.
We appreciate. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching until the end. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and hit the bell for more notifications.